Let's talk about sales kickoffs. When done right, these are transformational events that set the stage for a year of success and growth and winning like never before. Unfortunately, that's the exception rather than the rule. Most companies come to this unfortunate realization after all the planning, all the stress, all the long nights preparing decks and reworking talk tracks, that when the SKO ends, they're right where they were before, only a little bit poorer and a week behind. That's the unfortunate reality of sales kickoffs around the world. So let's talk today about why and how to fix it. So why most SKOs miss? Well, it's four things, four C's, if you will. Catering, coddling, corralling, and then crossing your fingers. And you've probably seen this before. On the catering side, this drives me crazy because very often more thought is put into what people will eat than what they will do differently as a result of the SKO. And don't get me wrong, by the way, these catering elements matter, but those should be finishing touches, not the primary goal. And I mean, if we're being honest here, who cares? Who cares that the meals were great and that the swag was fun if the SKO doesn't equip people to be better sellers? And I'm serious about that. Like, this is why, don't get me started on surveys, but I will just mention, this is why surveys are such a problem. Because when you ask people what they want, they'll mention food. And again, it's not that it's not important, but that cannot be the goal. You can't prepare a vacation for people. You have to prepare a place for them to learn and grow and be better and come out different people as a result. The catering should take a back seat to all of that. So that's the first one, the coddling. And this is a big part of the problems at SKO, is that there isn't an expectation that sellers should do anything. In fact, because we give them surveys and value their opinions on how it went, we start to build these events around what they want rather than what they need. I'm going to repeat that. We start to build these events around what they want rather than what they need. So they sit and they listen and they eat. They're the audience and the leaders are the stage performers. You see how backwards that is? No one's changed because they only sat and watched. That is never a recipe for change. At best, that can spark an idea. At best. In most cases, because they're sitting and watching, they're reverting to TV mode. In other words, they get to turn their brains off and just enjoy. So all the pressure is on the leaders and on enablement and on product teams and on marketing. The reps just show up for what amounts to a paid vacation. Coddling is a problem. Next is a corralling. And this gets fun because very often we talked about the coddling, but very often SKOs even fail as that entertaining vacation because the leaders are trying to get sellers to engage. So they are in audience mode, but not able to fully enjoy it. So you kind of give them the worst of both worlds. There's no real plan for accountability. There's no real plan for them to learn anything. There's no plan for them to change behaviors or build skills or do anything different than they were before. So while it's an easy experience for the reps, it's not a fulfilling one. They're herded like cattle from one session to the next. They're supposed to be excited, but the truth is they have no reason to feel any level of excitement throughout the process. This is why most SKOs end up feeling empty. And lastly, companies then cross their fingers and they hope that their people behave differently. They hope that they build new skills. They hope they perform better after the SKO. But they don't. Well, I mean, why would they? Nothing about that experience was designed to make them better. And the funny thing is, you wouldn't do this anywhere else. But in the world of sales, for some reason, people believe that the laws of the universe that govern the physical world that we live in and human nature, that they somehow cease to exist in sales. In fact, go through this exercise with me, just for fun. Picture that you're a head coach for an important sports team. Pick your favorite sport. Doesn't matter what it is. The season's about to begin. You have a ton of important matches coming up. And so you plan this multi-day event to get them ready for the season, to kick things off, if you will. You fly them into a great location. You've got great food planned for them. Each of the coaches your assistant coaches has a session where he or she will talk to them about important new plays and tactics, technology developments, all kinds of great things. They hear from the team owners and administrators and support staff. Each evening has some kind of fun entertainment, maybe some live music, maybe some Vegas-style gaming, maybe a comedian or a musician, maybe a magician. We've had that happen before. Sounds great, right? Of course not. This would be craziness. You think they're going to be any better after that? There's not a chance. They may have been entertained. That's the best you can hope for, that they were entertained. But they're not going to change. They're not going to be better. Whatever sport you chose, they won't have built any skills. They won't have improved their technique. They won't have gained any insights. You'd be crazy to think that a week away sitting and listening is somehow going to change their behavior. It's not how learning's done. It's not how change happens. They need to be suited up and on the court or on the track or in the pool or whatever sport you chose. Coaches need to see them in action. You need to push them out of their comfort zone and into the learning zone. They should be doing and sweating. They should be skinning their knees and getting up and dusting themselves back off and doing it again. They should be the ones on stage. They should be the ones being scrutinized. They should be the ones getting advice on the specific things they're doing and what to change. You see, when performance matters, you don't talk people into changing. You work them through the change. So they have to practice, and they have to practice more, and they have to practice again. They have to do. That's how they get strong.